What's going on, good people? It's Kyron here.
Shout out to Kyram. What's
Yeah,
going on, y'all? Rachel is here since I guess we're doing that. Welcome back to another episode of the Culture Garden podcast with featuring Ray P and Rich today.
yeah, yeah,
Or
man. Right
Rachel
here,
and
Rich,
Kyron,
Rachel,
whoever is
Kyron, whatever. Hey,
here.
listen, it's one of those days, y'all. It's been one of those weeks. It's what we
Bruh.
just were talking about that Mariah clip. Gonna give y'all the best I can with what I got.
My God, that's it. Y'all ain't never seen me in no fucking hat.
Yeah, we here. We here, man. We tired.
We're tired, bosses.
Tired, but we here. We just want to let y'all know beforehand because if it seems a little bit off the rails or whatever the case is, just know we wanted to make sure we showed up for y'all because y'all always show up for us.
For sure.
But we definitely are exhausted.
Yeah.
Life's been lifing, and we definitely realize and shout out to the self-awareness for realizing sometimes you just need to like pump the brakes a little bit,
For sure.
recalibrate. But with that being said, we are here, episode 92.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to that, Rachel. Always a pleasure.
Always. I love you.
Love you too. You already know what it is. You know what it is. But we thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, for listening. If you're on your favorite podcast app, please remember to like, subscribe, share. Episode description, linktree. The link tree is in the episode description. All of that stuff. You can find more information, social media, email addresses, all of that. We got y'all.
We got y'all. We in
Shout
fact
out.
got y'all.
We do, in fact, got y'all. And that's probably part of the reason we're a little bit more tired than that normal. It's been a while since we balanced two podcasts at the same time in regards to preparation.
Yeah.
And we got y'all in full effect. We just wrapped up the second episode of the second part of season 6 of The Shy.
Yes.
So it's episode 10 if you're looking at the numbers.
Mhm.
But 6 more left in the season. We'll be there for the next 6 weeks. And then don't get me wrong, we will be transitioning into House of Dragons. So at one point, we'll be doing both of those shows at the same time.
Yes.
If you're not familiar, we got y'all's a television podcast. Conversation format. We're literally just discussing the episode, what we think, how everything fits in the grand scheme of things, and we go from there. That is Ray P's baby. That's her child. She's the television guru. I'm so honored and privileged and excited to work with her on that. It truly is an honor and a blessing, and I'm excited to see all the things that you have planned for this year because it's a lot.
It is. It is. I appreciate you. I literally just remembered as we were talking about it that I did not post.
Once again, we here, man. We gonna give y'all what we got. For those, go ahead.
That's what I say. Yesterday, I had so much going on. If y'all follow my personal page, it was a lot of foolishness. But it will be up tonight.
Yeah. And if
Well,
you do,
it's available on your streaming, but on IG.
Yeah, the episode's up. It's just there was no promo for it yet. If you do subscribe, we appreciate y'all because if you subscribe, you know the episode's up. You might have watched it. I know people have already checked it out just by some numbers. So yeah, The Shy, it is streaming on Paramount Plus / Showtime, even though Showtime no longer has a streaming app. You have to go through Paramount Plus to get it. We're having fun with that. Yes. Like I said, House of Dragons, we've been looking forward to that for a while. Shout out to Spike Lee, because once I said something, Spike Lee was like, "Hey man, if y'all ever need a guest, let me know."
Sure.
Let me know.
Sure. Now that I know, it's up.
Yeah, we definitely gonna have some fun with that. Also, real quick, and I don't want to say too much because we'll still be working out the details. But with that being said, with the growth and everything that we got y'all has going on, that means Culture Garden might be changing a tad bit in regards to what we're putting out. Doesn't mean we're not going to have episodes for you, but instead of 4 movies a month, it might be 2 movies and then 2 sidebar episodes. Still working it out, start working things out. That's a lot of work. Like I said, it's not just one show at a time. There might be a stretch where we might be talking about 3 shows at a time. Oh, we got y'all. And that's just a lot of prep work, a lot of things to go through. And that means that we might have to tweak things just a tad bit, but we'll still be giving you some content. It should be coming at the same regular time frame and same regular amounts that you're getting right now. But I just wanted to let you know we'll have more information on that in the future as we get closer to things. With that being said, next week's episode is going to be kind of an example of that. We're going to have our good brother Maurice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mo. He is going to step in with us and just have a conversation. He's a real fan of the Culture Garden. He's always asking questions and wants to kind of know more information. So he's going to come in next week to interview Rachel and myself and just kind of give y'all some behind the scenes stuff and some, information that you might want to know. So shout out to Mo for that. We're looking forward to it. And it saves Rachel and myself some prep time. We don't have to watch anything, take notes. And that's the real reason why we're doing it. Because like I said,
Yes.
life is a lot.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, life is a lot. But before we get into today's episode, I do want to shout some people out.
Yeah, shout them out.
Shout them out. And first and foremost, this past week, Culture Garden family, Christina.
Yes, happy birthday, girl.
Absolutely. Happy birthday. Nah, man, that's all I was going to say. Happy birthday to Christina. I told myself I want to get better at, especially the people who are really dialed in and communicate with us and interact with us, just to shout them out because
for sure.
It takes 5 seconds to wish someone happy birthday on your page and all that. Christina's been a day one listener. We got y'all. I think she found us through there. She was a part. She left us a message, or she came on, on our Friends and Family episode. So shout out to her. Hope she had an incredible birthday. I know she had a party. Hope she got properly celebrated and is living it up. So shout out to Christina. Also want to shout out Rich. My dog Rich gets it in. Just because we just talked about life is crazy. And it's funny how sometimes, everything just aligns perfectly. Because Rich just reached out randomly. It's like, hey, man, just wanted to check in, say what's up, see how your moving's been. Rich is in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just see how your moving's been, man. You always reaching out. So I wanted to reach out as well and just kind of check in.
I love it.
That's dope. That's dope, man. So I really appreciate that. Shout out to you, Rich. Shout out to Kim Porter. Just because she was in the Brothers.
Yes.
Rachel and myself discussed that briefly last week. We forgot to mention it, but she was the secretary or the assistant in Shamar Moore's or Terry's office. That was Kim Porter. Just wanted to highlight her. Rest in peace to that queen.
For sure.
But I definitely didn't want to go by another week without at least acknowledging her presence.
Yeah, for sure. And then just thinking back to the brother, shout out to AJ.
I was just about to say, yep, we're on the same page. Rachel, go ahead.
She threw her could be casted in the comments on the post last week. So y'all go ahead and check that out.
Yeah, man.
Well. Still feel free to let us know what y'all think of who you would like to have seen casted for some of those roles.
Yeah, let's take a quick second because I did mention last week that if you reached out to us, we were going to shout you out on the episode, kind of have some discussion. So for a few brief moments, there are a couple people that reached out, so I want to shout out them. You mentioned AJ. Shout out to you for killing the semester.
Yes.
I'm sure school's over, but I know you say you had a rough semester. Glad that you have some time to yourself. Yeah. But AJ put on the page as far as recasting with the brothers. She agrees with Ray P. Who doesn't?
I mean,
she would have chosen Mel Jackson. She said for DL's part, and she said her 4 lead lineup would have been Morris Chestnut, Mel Jackson, Shamar Moore, and Jamie Foxx. She liked Jamie and Morris's chemistry in Breaking All the Rules. Yeah. Hint, cough, cough. Add that to the list. So we'll definitely make sure we put Breaking All the Rules on the lineup really soon. Interesting because I'll wait to say I'll say my thoughts for Breaking All the Rules and my first experience and what I initially thought about the film. And we'll have that conversation. So thank you, AJ, for contributing that. I do want to shout out my dog, Mario. Yeah, man. Shout out to Rio. He didn't give us a breakdown, but he randomly texted me and he said, y'all really started this podcast off fire. Talking about the Brothers episode. He said, I have to finish the rest when I get off today, but I definitely just wanted to text you and let you know that. What I've heard so far is fire. So shout out to him.
Shout out.
Yeah, he said he loves the movie. He said he can definitely see Jamie Foxx in that role instead of Bill Bellamy because he thinks the sarcasm that he displayed was incredible for the role. Yep. And then he also asked us the question, have you ever thought of Deliver Us from Eva with Morris Chestnut instead of LL Cool J? Would that movie be as good? And once again, Shout out to AJ, because Mario's next sentence was, because Morris did the brothers and breaking all the rules.
Shout out to Black Hollywood and shout out to y'all. Damn. I could totally see Morris in that role, but I do think I like LL better.
Something, all right. I don't know how to really explain this, but there is something about LL in that movie that just works.
Yep.
It just works. And I can't
Mhm.
really explain why. It's funny because when I was thinking about the brothers recasting, I was thinking like, damn, Dwayne Martin probably could have played the DL role.
Oh, he
Um,
could have.
and I was like, I'm probably thinking that because I'm thinking of Deliver Us from Eva.
Mm-hmm.
He was also in. But remember when we did Above the Rim, Dwayne Martin's one of those people where everybody knows him. But when you look at his filmography, it's like, hold on, you don't have as many credits as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think it would have been a perfect, and I could have seen. I think he would have been better in that DL role because he could play that. He still fit. He still seems like he fits with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say, dare to say, a little bit cooler. The DL.
Yeah.
I don't know. Corny. He corny. He corny. Cool.
You have to ask Lisa Ray her thoughts. Bless that.
Yeah, man. Mo gave us his thoughts as well, but I'm not sure where they are right now. So in the meantime, I'll keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
What else did we have? I think we had Chaz. Shout out to Chaz, my boy Boog. This has nothing to do with the brothers, but he randomly hit me up today, and he said, once again, y'all, bear with us. It's one of them days. He was asking me about something else. There's a project that we have going on that we're working on. Another best episode ever. If anybody remembers best episode ever that we did with Martin, there's another one that is in the works. I don't think you've seen the show, Rachel. I think I asked you when I first had the idea. You was like, nah. We'll talk about it at a later date. It's going to be coming in the next couple of months because it's a 20-year anniversary of a show that started, and I felt that it needed a best episode ever. Chaz is going to be working with me on that, and he said, "Hey man, I got the gist of greatest episode ever." He said, "I also came across the Queen and Slim episode. I just want you to know." He said, "I want you to know I fully agree with Ray P. It's the worst movie ever."
Period.
Y'all wild for that, but whatever, man. Y'all real wild for that. So yeah, in the meantime, I can't find Mo's comment. I thought he texted it to me. He must have sent it to us in DMs.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't pop up right now, yeah, we're just gonna keep on moving. Mo, we'll read you next week. My bad, my brother. But yeah. With that being said, we appreciate y'all for tuning in and for contributing your feedback. It really means a lot. It gets us more interactive. If you do have any thoughts, please feel free to email us, text us. Whoa. Email us, DM us. Take the text out. Yeah, please don't text us. But all that other stuff, and let us know what your thoughts are. We will include it in the episode. With that being said, there will be spoilers. There will be explicit content. Today's film, as you can see in the title, is The Equalizer. The synopsis of the film: a man who believes he has put his mysterious past behind him cannot stand idly by when he meets a young girl under the control of ultra-violent Russian gangsters. This was my week to pick. Let's talk about this real quick.
Let's get into it.
So I had a completely different movie, y'all. And I'm going to say the name of this movie because I really want to hear people's thoughts if you've ever seen it. I decided after doing The Brothers, let's have kind of a hearty conversation. Let's pick a movie where we can really dive into some characters and some life situations. And, a lot of people like when we do that.
My bag.
Yeah, the Ray P bag. For real, yeah. The Ray P bag, not the goofy stuff, but just really something you can dive into.
Yeah.
And I decided from scrolling through Max, I'm like, you know what? Let's do The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I remember hearing about it. I know Jonathan Majors is in it. I looked at the cast. Like, oh, you got Tashina Arnold in it. You've got Danny Glover in it. Rob Parker, I believe. Man, I'm about to look it up. Either way, he was in the photograph as well.
Oh yeah, the old man. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Rob Parker. My apologies to him, man, because he's a hell of an actor.
Yes, he is.
But either way, I was like, man, this might be a good movie to go ahead and get into. I watched the trailer. Because mind you, I'd never seen it. So I watched the trailer. And when I watched it, I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be the if Beale Street could talk version of gentrification.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect conversation for myself and Ray P.
Yeah.
Excited to get into it. So Saturday night comes along. I'm chilling at the crib. I get a text message from Ray P. No words, just 3 emojis. One of them was the confused, like the one eyebrow up, like the rock. I call that the what the fuck is this emoji?
Yeah.
Followed by some laughing emojis. And I'm like, what's that? What's up? And I'm like, the movie? Because obviously we hadn't talked about it. So I'm like, was that the movie? She said, yes. I'm like, oh man, don't tell me we ain't going. She said, watch it first. Watch it. So the next morning I woke up, I watched that movie. It's 2 hours long. It felt like it was 4 hours long. I'm not going to sit here and say we'll never have a conversation about it. I just have no idea what that conversation looks like.
Now, we just talked about Queen and Slim being the worst movie. I don't know if this takes the cake for me, but it's definitely something else that did not curl all the way over for me. So Kyron mentioned that I had just sent the emoji. So kind of what we do is do a general watch and then rewatch for the notes. And there honestly was just no way I was giving up another 2 hours for that in particular. I love a passion project. Shout out to that. Howsoever, I don't think I'm well versed enough in running my mouth and making it look good to put a bow on what that is. I don't know. It's very interesting to say the least, but I was lost a good bit of that. And it makes the character, I don't even necessarily know if there was character development, but I kept saying every time I looked at Jonathan Majors, I said, freaky ass nigga, he is 6'9" God. Like, he's fucking weird. He's a fucking weirdo.
Weirdo is the right word.
Yeah. So shout out to that. Shout out to everybody in the arts making the dream happen. I get it. So I know nobody wants their projects and stuff to be bashed because we don't want that. Howsoever, I'm glad that we decided to pivot and figure something else out.
Put it like this, y'all. If we had decided to stick with The Last Black Man in San Francisco, you would not be listening to an episode at all this week. And that's no diss. And that's why I said I'm not writing it off as we'll never talk about it. But it's just, if you've seen the movie, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
There were some things that were good about it, and it had some moments. But if you look at it on the scale of what it could have been, had they just made a regular movie, like a regular adapted screenplay, kind of told a story about what that really looks like to see your city get taken over. And you know, there's a moment in that film that I really loved when there were two white women on the bus and they're talking about how much they hate San Francisco.
I did like that scene.
And here you are, you know, you have the real San Franciscoans who are priced out. You know, everything's been gentrified. And there's just a moment where the lead character, who also wrote the film, semi-autobiographical, and he just stops them and says, "Excuse me, like, are you from here?" And they was like, "Nah, like, do you like it here?" And they was like, "It's okay. I mean, we live here." He was like, "If you don't love it, you can't hate it.
You can't hate it. That's
and
it.
it's just certain, if your hometown, I don't care where you're from. You know, Ray P reps the mud all day. I rep Cincinnati all day. There's something about your hometown, and we can talk shit about it, but you can't talk shit about it.
For sure.
That's kind of what it is. So shout out to them. We don't want to dump on it because I'm not saying it's different. It's certainly different.
It's different. It's eccentric.
Yes, very much so. It won awards. It's got it when we do our like too high, too low, just right. I think it got like a 7.1. So I love to talk to that audience and just kind of see what they, because I think, Rachel,
not American fiction treatment. Go ahead.
I'll say I was about to say I think, but I'll change to say I know that you and I are pretty smart individuals.
Yes.
Pick up on things pretty quickly. And I'm just like, was this a little too smart for me? Is that what it was? I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter, because we pivoted from that film. And I was like, what else am I going to get? So mind you, we're at crunch times because it's like, damn, it's only got a couple days to prepare. What other or what better cure-all than Mr. Denzel Washington?
Mm.
I was in a kick-ass Denzel mood,
I love it.
and Equalizer was the one I wanted to go with. I would have picked, even though it's not a kick-ass movie, I was going to pick Deja Vu, but it's not streaming anywhere. So I wanted to be mindful of everybody. You know, at least you can stream things on a certain platform, and this is on Netflix. But yeah, that's how we ended up here at Equalizer. That's a long-winded version of why we picked this movie. As far as the stats go, let's get into it. The film premiered at the 2014 Toronto International Films Festival on September 7th, 2014. Released in theaters a few weeks later, September 26, 2014. Rachel, were you shocked at all that this movie's turning 10 years old?
Yes and no, but maybe so here's the thing. I actually saw Equalizer 2 before I saw Equalizer 1.
Interesting.
So I had no idea really when Equalizer 1 came out. So when I was looking, I was like 2014. I'm like, well, I was here. It's going to the movies. I did not see it in theaters. I definitely saw it on TV after again seeing Equalizer 2.
Did you
So
see
yes
Equalizer
and
2?
no.
Did you
Huh?
see it in theaters?
2?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you go with Putty? Shout out to Putty.
I don't think so. I
I'm
don't
only asking because if I remember her and I had a conversation and she likes Equalizer 2 the best.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and that's what made me think of it when you said that. So shout out to her.
Shout out to
This film also spawned the first sequels of Denzel's career. He had never made a sequel until Equalizer 2 and Equalizer 3.
Interesting.
So, yeah, absolutely. Directed by Antoine Fuqua.
His boy.
His boy. Obviously, of course, we'll talk about the origin of things, but Denzel recommended him after things fell through with other directors and things like that. Anytime I think of the talented Antoine Fuqua, I think about behind every great man is a great woman. Shout out to the legend, Lela Rochon, his beautiful wife, the queen. Obviously, Training Day, they've teamed up before. Training Day, episode 25 of the Culture Garden.
Damn.
October 2022, if you're looking for it or searching for it. One of my favorite episodes. One of those episodes when you go back, you forget, and I don't want to toot our horn on that note, but you forget about certain episodes and you go back and listen, and you're like, oh shit, this was good.
Yeah.
Training Day was a really good episode, y'all. So if you want to check that out, episode 25, searching October 22. And he directed the Equalizer sequels. He's also set to direct an untitled Denzel project. And he's also working on Michael as we speak, the Michael biopic. Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's directing that. A lot of buzz around that film.
With the nephew playing Michael?
With the nephew playing Michael, with Coleman Domingo playing Joe, with Nia Long playing Catherine. We're going to see how it goes. We are going to see how it goes. But yeah, shout out to Antoine Fuqua. It does make me feel a little better that he's directing and it's not some rando.
For sure.
We'll see. We'll see. The expectations are so high sometimes with those that you got to take it for face value. It's probably not going to be what you want it to be. The story's probably better told in a documentary, but I am looking forward to it.
Me too, because American Dream is enough for me. But I'm very curious to see what they do.
Thanks. Antoine also directed one of my favorite just rewatchable films, Shooter. I mentioned that before on this podcast. I'm just a big fan of Shooter. One of those movies you can put on, go to sleep to, have his background noise, whatever the case may be. Extensive list, very talented brother. The film was written by Richard Wink, Michael Sloan, and Richard Lindheim. Michael Sloan is a co-creator of the original Equalizer series, which was a television series. We'll talk about that in the origin. The film had a budget of approximately $55 million, and it grossed $192.2 million worldwide.
Period, Denzel.
Box office smash. $34.1 million the opening weekend. Opened up at number 1 in the box office. Was in theater for 13 weeks. It was the third largest opening day of Denzel's career,
Mm.
right behind American Gangster and Safe House.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, the film is currently streaming on Netflix. As far as awards,
If
9
you
nominations.
have Netflix, you can rent it on Prime. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you don't have Netflix, you can rent it on Prime. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
9 nominations and 1 win. Nominated for 3 NAACP Image Awards: Outstanding Actor, Outstanding Writing, and Outstanding Directing. Antoine Fuqua won for the Outstanding Directing, and then Denzel was also nominated for an Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture for the Black Reel Awards.
Mm.
Like I said, only 1 win for it, but nominated 9 times. As far as the cast, we'll go through this real quick. Denzel Washington as Robert McCall, Martone Soskis as Teddy, Chloe Grace Moretz as Terry or Alina.
Mhm.
Shout out to her. She was 17 at the time of filming. This role was originally meant for someone who was about 24, 25. She impressed Antoine so much that he changed the age and hired her to play this
Oh,
role.
wow. Okay.
Anna Kendrick, think of Anna Kendrick. She was actually in consideration to play this role, which would have been interesting, but I think it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
We have David Harbour as Frank Masters, Melissa Leo as Susan Plummer, Bill Pullman as Brian Plummer, and Johnny Scortis as Ralphie. Ray P,
Yeah.
classic or not?
Yes.
I think so. I don't think it's up for debate. I think it's a classic. It's a very enjoyable film. Going back to why I chose it when we had to make a pivot, just a real clean, easy watch. And I know we said that maybe about the brothers in a couple episodes, but we know what we're getting. And there's something about Denzel just whooping ass, and didn't really need too much other than that. It's a perfect movie in my opinion when it comes to that. It's a classic, extremely rewatchable. You can put this on at any time and just enjoy it. It really doesn't get tiresome, the whole 9.
Every time I rewatch Equalizer, I don't say Equalizer 1, but Equalizer, I forget how good it is. I already just said that 2 is my favorite, but as I was watching, I'm like, this is really fucking good.
Yeah. 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 We're going to get into the rankings here in a second.
Okay.
Origin of the film. I mentioned earlier, Equalizer was a spy thriller television series. It ran on CBS from 1985 to 1989. Ironically, the demise of the show became because of some conflict with Murder, She Wrote. Something about the time slot not wanting to switch days, so they just canceled the show.
Oh,
Don't
wow.
quote me on that, but I know Murder, She Wrote indirectly had something to do with the ending of The Equalizer. Same concept in that show. You have a gentleman by the name of Robert McCall. He's a retired intelligence agent, and he's helping the innocent, almost on some Batman vigilante shit.
Knight in
The
shining
idea.
armor.
You said what?
A knight in shining armor.
There you go. Knight in shining armor. Good pull. Good pull. The idea to turn it into a film started in 2005. Michael Sloan, I mentioned earlier, he's credited as a writer. He's a co-creator. He was someone reached out to him. There was a producer by the name of Mace Neufeld, and he wanted to turn this into a movie. Paul McLuhan was originally set to direct. You probably know him from what's that movie? Lucky Number 11. That's the biggest thing on his filmography. And then things fell through. You get to 2010, a gentleman by the name of Russell Crowe got his hand on the script. He wanted to play Robert McCall. He had Paul Haggis in line to direct. For those who don't know, we mentioned Paul Haggis, Academy Award winner for Crash. He directed that. And a lot of other films. I think he wrote $1 Million Baby. We kind of went through his resume when we discussed Crash. Denzel got involved in 2011. He was attached as the lead actor. Sony stepped in to finance the film along with escape artist. Gerard Butler at one point was considered for the role of Robert McCall.
I could see Gerard over Russell Crowe.
100%. Especially at this point. This Russell Crowe, like once 2010, once Russell Crowe started doing things like Body of Lies, and films of that nature, he seemed like he aged out a little bit of these type of roles.
Yeah.
Because in Body of Lies, he was the CIA guy. He would have been like the equivalent of Pushkin in this film. he wasn't like the action, the one that actually on the ground doing things. So Gerard Butler is interesting, especially in a role like this.
I could also see. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I could also see Gerard as Teddy. Even if he was in this film, I could see him as Teddy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Shout out to Gerard. I want to see him do more action stuff. Robert McCall had no backstory, so Denzel did help contribute to that. Even the idea of making Robert have obsessive compulsive disorder, otherwise known as OCD. He even interviewed people with OCD to kind of pick up on their traits and mannerisms. So he added that whole thing. If you notice in the film, very clear that Robert McCall has OCD. A tame version, if that's what you want to call it, compared to some that you see. Yeah, very mild OCD, but it is there. So, Ray P, you already talked about your first experience. You saw Equalizer 2 first. My first experience was the theater. Once again, Denzel, end of summer. I'm whooping ass. Where's my ticket? You know what I mean? So it was an easy choice for me. I enjoyed the experience. I thought it was an incredible action film. Just in the line of the action genre, is not trying to do too much as far as tell another side story. Point A to point B.
Yeah.
Nothing else, nothing less, nothing more. Do you have any favorite action films? How do you feel about action? But just in general.
Yeah, ironically enough, I like an action film as long as there's like a good story to go with all that blowing shit up and fighting.
Do you have any favorite action films? Like your Mission Impossibles, your
No. Equalizers.
Yep.
I do also like Taking of Pelham 123.
Okay.
Something that's action packed.
Taken?
I like Taken 2.
Did you like the Taken 1? When you say Taken 2, you mean Taken also?
No, 2. The sequel.
You like the original?
It's cool.
You like the second one better than the original?
I do.
I will say this. For any of those, especially if you haven't watched Taken in a long time.
Go back.
No. Overrated. And what I mean is, I'm not saying it's not a good movie. I just mean that the impact it had when it came out is not the same that you feel today.
For sure.
Like it's kind of like once you see it that first time, the trick is gone. It's not that good of a movie when you look at it pound for pound. Still an enjoyable watch, but it's not even close to Equalizer in my eyes.
Is Set It Off an action movie?
I call that a heist movie.
Okay. Oh yeah, that fits.
I would put that with like Den of Thieves and Heat and Takers, stuff like that.
Got it. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you. All right, let me ask you this: John Wick. You a John Wick fan?
Nope.
Not okay. I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite action series of all time. Might be my favorite action series of all time. I personally think that each film gets better in the trilogy. Huge fan of the Bourne series. I'm a Jason Bourne fanatic. All three of them. I fuck with Jason Bourne.
The Bourne Identity.
Bourne Identity, Supremacy, and Ultimatum. They made a fourth one with Jeremy Renner. Decent. And then they made another Bourne with Matt Damon later down the line. Y'all know how I feel about that. Once you make sequels 10, 11, 12 years later, I'll watch it, but I ain't going to be the biggest fan. And it didn't live up to the first three. But I'm a huge Bourne fan. Would love to know anybody else and what their favorite action movies are. Let's play this or that.
Okay.
Well, no, before we do that, let's talk about Equalizer.
Yeah.
How are you ranking these? How are you ranking
them? 2, 1, 3.
One is up there. One is it for me.
Okay.
One is number one. The real discussion comes between 2 and 3. And I know some people might think that's crazy because 3, it's 2 and 3. It goes in order. 2, there was something about 2, and I really can't put my mind around it.
Okay. Let me help you.
Okay.
I love the story of 2.
2 has the best story, easily.
So I think that is what does it for me. And so prior to this, I didn't even know that there was a series of the Equalizer in the 80s. So for real, two was my introduction. But then seeing one, I'm like, oh, okay, this is very good. I like this is who we met. This is Robert McCall. He's a superhero or a knight in shining armor. His words. I like it. You're not an anti-hero. I like the story, but two is just definitely meteor for me. And it gives us more of what it tells us who Robert McCall actually is, despite what we see in Equalizer 2. For 3, I love because I love Italy, even though I've never been, but I want to go. I like the reunification of Denzel
Dakota.
and Dakota. I like the story of that. And even though he was injured, quote unquote, he was shot, and there's a lot of fighting in one, he really is taken down essentially, even though it's by a child in number 3. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Um is I don't know, 3 is it 3 wraps it up in a nice bow. Let's cut it. We're done. It was good. But 2 is the one for me.
I ain't mad at you. 2 is, especially when you talk about Pedro Pascal. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
big fan of him. It's funny because when I drove back to Cleveland from Cincinnati, I was listening to our Bill Street to Talk episode because
Mm-hmm.
I was getting my mind ready for Last Black Man in San Francisco, and then was highly disappointed. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
2 is really good. Has the best story, like you mentioned, by far. 1 is just a better movie,
Yeah.
better introduction. It's hard to top the first one. I know a lot of people like 2.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the ratings, 3 is slightly ahead of 2.
Really?
Like, and when I say slightly, I mean slightly. Like somebody could vote today and it changes. But
Damn.
it's slightly ahead.
Is Tutu black? What's going on with y'all?
So I was curious like you because I thought 3 was better than last. And then I went back and I read some stuff, and a lot of people felt that 2 is as much as they tried to develop the story, that at points the story lagged a little bit too much. I disagree.
Mm,
I think we got to where we needed to. I think there's some classic moments in 2. Obviously, the only disappointment for me is that I only get to do it once. That
yeah.
whole scene, there's a bunch of just that's on Denzel, and we're talking about Denzel Washington here.
For
That's on
sure.
his acting reel.
For
That
sure.
scene, like
Mhm.
that's Equalizer 2 is incredible, but I am ranking them 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that
1,
is
2, 3
really
in that order.
interesting to me.
Before we
Now,
get into this, go ahead.
I was like, now I feel like we need an Equalizer 2 episode.
Oh, we will. This
This-
is one of the few. This is one of the few trilogies where I was like, okay, I think we're going to talk about every movie at some
Okay.
point. At some point, the closest we are right now, I think it's Friday. We've talked about Friday after next, and yeah, next Friday. We've talked about both of them. We haven't talked about Friday because obviously it's a classic, and we just
Yeah.
keeping that one in the tuck. We talked about the original House Party.
Mm-hmm.
Curious to see if we're going to get to 2 and 3. There's potential for it. I don't know, with or without Ray P. Who knows? uh, but yeah, that's one of those trilogies I definitely want to talk about. The Equalizer.
Okay. I could do all of those, just not 4.
Which one?
House Party 4.
What is that?
It's got like
No, no, that doesn't. We don't acknowledge that, Rachel. We don't acknowledge that. I'll watch the one that just came out, the newer version
the
before
new version.
that.
Okay.
Side note,
Yeah,
I really wish that new version called it something else than House Party.
for
If that
sure. It
film called
should.
it something other than House Party, it would have done much better, and
For
people would have
sure.
looked at it differently. Because I saw that in the theater, and it wasn't bad.
Okay.
They just shouldn't have called it House Party.
Mm.
But either way, before we get into the this or that, the Denzel version, I want to ask you a question.
Yes.
As I'm watching Denzel just in his back when it
Mhm.
comes to uh, the killing, the hand-to-hand combat,
Mhm.
I thought about how happy I was to sit down and just watch it. And then it made me think, who's the next black action star? Like I feel like most of our action stars, when you think of like your Wesley Snipes, your Denzels, your Will Smith, um, everybody who's kind of been in their bag and solidified their role, even
Mhm.
Samuel Jackson to some degree,
Yeah.
um, maybe a little bit of Jamie Foxx, they're all up there. We're all talking about 50 plus. Who's the 20, 30 something that's gonna hold it down?
That's a very good question. Because I was gonna say if they would have let him, it could have been Idris, but now he's pigeonholed into being pretty much an elder statesman.
Mhm.
Um,
And I watched a movie recently, maybe about a month ago, that I went back to immediately. I'll tell you
mhm,
in a second, but go ahead. You were gonna say
okay.
something.
Rest in peace. It could have been Chadwick.
Yep, that's exactly who I was thinking. That's one person.
I don't know. I'm not as familiar with his game because I did not watch Snowfall. I know. Um, the Damson Idris, does he have that in him?
I
I
think he
don't
does.
know.
I
Okay.
think he can do that. I think he can do that. Actually, that's a really good one, Rachel. I think he
So
can do that. And shout out to Michael J. White because I didn't mention him, but he's a
Jai,
action legend. If you into that, if you in that bag,
for
uh,
sure.
Blood and Bone is one of my favorite. Just put this on for 90 minutes and watch it.
Okay. Okay. And
Damson is a good one, Rachel.
okay, period. I'll also I would not call MBJ an action star. I know that they were trying to do that with him. Um, so I'm not gonna count him, but I really think that had Jonathan Majors because he's so phenomenal an actor. I think if that was the bag he wanted to get into, he could and would be very successful.
I like that. So you went to where I was going.
Okay.
When I was packing to move, I put on Without Remorse.
Okay.
I had seen it before, but I
Mhm.
only watched it once. And I'm like, let me just turn this back on and see what's what. I enjoy MBJ as an action star.
Mhm.
I enjoy what he brought to the table. It has to be. I don't want the additional story on top of the action.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? I want the Equalizer type. The less I know, the better.
The better.
Just kick some ass, take
And
some
get
names, and get on out of here.
yeah,
Once you start putting in other things into it, we've discussed Michael B. Jordan and
for sure.
our uh, our complicated relationship with him
For
when it
sure.
comes to certain things. Big fans, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get that twisted.
Yeah.
Big fan of Michael B. Jordan. Where does he stand on the rankings of actors? That's another conversation.
Mhm.
But I think he would be an incredible um, action star. Jonathan Majors is a great one. Chadwick, RIP, would have been incredible. I think one person, Damson, I think is the best answer. I love
Okay.
that answer. There is one person that I wish would kind of tap into that bag that I think would do a good job. No, John Boyega.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I forgot all about him. Yeah,
Yeah, I
totally.
would love to see John Boyega kind of get in that bag. I think he would kill it. I
I
think he would
like
kill
to
it.
know Woman King.
Yeah, yeah, I like him in general. I know you don't like they call him Tyrone, but I'm just a John Boyega fan anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that I was just really thinking like, damn, who is the next person that's gonna give me an Equalizer? Who's gonna give me these type of movies? Because Denzel's 69, Wesley up there, Will up there, Idris. Like I'm not up there like old, but just they're not
Elder
trying to
Statesman.
do elder statesman. They're not trying to do a run of action movies, and I think one of them could take over a franchise like this. So shout out to them.
Okay.
All right, and shout out to all our black exploitation action heroes. Your
Yeah.
Fred Williamsons, your Jackie or Pam Greer's, your Jim Kelly's, your Richard Roundtrees, all of them. Just want to give y'all flowers as well. This or that, Denzel version.
Let's go.
So I tried to keep it along the lines of Equalizer. So obviously we're not talking about Malcolm X and um, even Bone Collector because he was a quadriplegic in Bone Collector. But
Acting. Okay.
yeah, so Equalizer or Ricochet. Have you ever seen Ricochet?
I have seen Ricochet. I'm gonna take Equalizer.
Equalizer or Out of Time?
Equalizer.
I love Out of Time.
I like.
Equalizer, you picked the right answer, but I'm a
Mhm.
big fan of Out of
I
Time.
like Out of Time.
Equalizer or Deja Vu?
Deja Vu. I love Deja Vu.
Equal shout out to Paula Patton. Probably your favorite part of the movie. Equalizer or Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3?
Damn. 1, 2, 3.
Equalizer or The Book of Eli?
Oh, Book of Eli.
Okay. Equalizer or Safe House?
Oh, fuck. Safe House. I love Safe House.
I rock with Safe House. People don't rock with Safe House, I think, as much as me and you do.
Yeah.
I like Safe House.
I love Safe House.
One of my favorite Denzel characters.
Mhm.
Robert Frost, I believe was his name.
Mhm.
Yeah, really good character. Really good acting by Denzel. You seen Two Guns with him and Mark Wahlberg?
No.
I'm picking Equalizer. I
Okay.
need to go back and watch Two Guns. I remember my first watch not being impressed.
Mhm.
Entertaining, but it just seems, dare I say, beneath Denzel.
Yeah, I think I started it and turned it off. I know for sure I didn't go to the theaters.
Yeah, and I didn't like and this is me. Y'all know how I feel about black men needing mustaches. Denzel had the mustache off, but had the goatee, and it just did something. Like I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to see my dog like that.
Looking crazy. Okay.
Of course, I got to end it with this: Denzel or Man on Fire. Or excuse me, Denzel. Equalizer or Man on Fire.
Man on Fire.
I think Man on Fire is that's the gold standard for Denzel causing havoc and
Yes.
getting justice.
Yes.
I think if you made a poll, Man on Fire is running away with that title.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. That was fun. That was fun. I always like playing this or that game. Let's get into some categories, Rachel. Let's get into the best scenes. So all right, I got this. I'm gonna start. Hey, we got y'all. I got us. It's all good.
Terry, appreciate you.
No doubt. So I'm gonna got the opening scene.
Okay. Oh,
And
yeah.
it's not as we always seem to pick the opening scene. This one was a little bit of the opposite. We
Mhm.
always mention how we love the opening scene, kind of telling us exactly who the character is. This one makes us ask, who is this guy?
Yes.
Which is a question you hear throughout the film,
Mhm.
but it's really one of those, all right, he lives alone in an extraordinarily clean apartment, doesn't have a lot of furniture. He works at the equivalent of a Lowe's or Home Depot. I think it's
Mhm.
called Home Mart.
Bookmark.
Yeah, very lazy, but whatever. Home Depot to Walmart combined.
Mhm.
People at the job, us as viewers, we're just intrigued by the mystique. Who are
Yeah.
you? I bet you didn't have to do this at your last job. What was your last job? Like, who is this dude that's sitting here working with us?
Mhm.
Um, the women in the break room are after him. He on his ladies' man, better now. How you do better now? I'm like, all right,
Baby.
Robert McCall out here pulling. Um, and it helps Ralphie. I think that was one of the most telling things. He's a no nonsense guy, but he's not a strict disciplinarian. He's more so, hey, you asked me for my help.
Yeah.
If you ain't gonna do it, that's cool. I just want to help you. Like, I ain't gonna cuss you out. I'm not gonna dog you. I'm not gonna make you feel less than.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're not taking this seriously. Let me move my time and put it elsewhere.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
also gave a little bit of grace. Like, listen, I've watched you progress to this point. One of my favorite quotes, which I'll use in my everyday life: progress, not perfection.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's like that. You know what I mean? At least you trying, at least we getting you baby steps to the right path. So I
Yeah.
love that opening scene when it comes to him. As far as what comes next, I like the scene when Alina, not the first or second diner scene, but the scene when Alina finally comes over and sits
Mhm.
down.
Yeah. I actually have the first diner scene and when she finally joins him and comes to sit down. Just
Okay.
because I had the first one because I like that we meet her. Um and to your point, we saw that he was revered essentially at the job. But when we see him with Alina, when we first meet her, there's the distance, but also a level of comfort. So we learned very early that it's not just these people, it's everybody that he has a way with, and I just like that because it also sets us up for us to know that, okay, this girl is going to be someone of interest, and
Mhm.
he's going to be the hero, like, immediately.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that description. There's something to be said about people who garner the respect of others and their
Mhm.
peers without doing too much, without being extra, without trying to gather or
Mhm.
gain that attention.
Yeah.
There's nothing about Robert McCall that makes you say, I want to be known. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. He's trying to stay off the grid as much as possible.
Mhm.
However, he just has a natural, authentic human nature to him that lets you know he's good people. Like if
Yeah.
I need help, he's gonna take care of me. Like when we talk about the scene where Alina calls it breaking protocol,
Mhm.
when she comes over, when he walks into the diner, he hands her some birthday cake,
Yeah.
pump full of poison, just like you like it. Like I don't like, even though I don't agree with you eating sugar because you want to be a singer and all that, it's gonna mess up your vocal cords. I still understand this is something that you like. I didn't want to go to waste. I knew you would eat it. I knew I'd probably see you here this evening. And it wasn't anything weird about it. It's like, yo, something about being thought of,
Mhm.
even with the smallest gestures, goes a long way.
So, yes to all of that. Howsoever, I thought he was being tongue in cheek, likening the sugar to Coke, which, remember, when they first meet at the diner, she's sniffling and he says, I thought you were
Mm.
going to quit that. And so, booger sugar, sugar, poison, same thing.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Good point. Great pool. I don't know if I've ever caught that.
You know.
Ray P. Right? Look at Ray P. Yeah,
I
man.
should.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's
Here,
definitely
here.
a tongue in cheek thing.
Yeah.
100%, especially in her line of work. You are absolutely right. She definitely did a line of, which is wild, doing a line of coke at the diner. Um,
And Jake just let her.
hey man, Jake was like, "Shit, man, I done seen this is light. This is a light day for what we got going on here." Uh,
Jake said, go out and make your living. Nigga, this is a child. You don't want to save her? You don't want to help?
hey, nah, Jake. Oh man, Jake, like man, I done done all that. I done did all that.
Can I
Like,
call somebody for you?
nah, man.
Do
Jake said, "I'm here to run this diner. Go out and make your living.
crazy.
Don't let me tell you how to live."
Crazy.
I also like the fact that we get to learn little by little throughout the film who Robert is
Yes.
from his interactions with people that seem to be genuine.
Mhm.
I love when she said, "You don't look like a Bob. Like Bob watches TV. Robert reads books like this."
For sure.
Her picking up, like even through that distance, as you mentioned, Rachel.
Mhm.
I've learned enough about you throughout this time. I've heard you talk about your stories of reading these books to know you're not Bob, bro. Like there's
Right.
nothing about you that comes off as a Bob.
And
She
that
let down, right. Um, she lets down her guard,
Mhm.
and she's known as Terry, and then she finally says, "My name's Alina."
Yeah.
Hands him the CD. Um, earlier scenes like the first one in the diner led us to believe that Robert sees the good in her. You could
Yes.
be anything that you want to be, regardless of how you live. I'm not here to judge you for that. I'm just telling you, you don't have to live this life. There's more to you than this.
Mhm.
She still doubts herself. He tells her, change your world. Just change your world thing. He makes it, and it's alluded that his wife passed. So we're
Mm.
finally getting to know a little bit behind his character. Not a ton of stuff, and he's reading 100 books. Um, and obviously that leads to Robert meeting Slavi and getting the card from him, which is the
Yeah.
first piece of information that we need. I don't know if you have anything with the beating and the hospitalization, but I was going to get right into the
The
restaurant.
office. Yeah,
Yes,
a restaurant. Mhm.
yeah. Technically, you're right. Office on top of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Rachel,
Yes.
this is, and shout out to Good Earners reviewing The Sopranos.
Mhm.
There's a character by the name of Phil Leotardo who we just met, and we had his first opening scene on
Mhm.
our last episode. And I talked about greatest openings or greatest introductions to someone's skill set.
Okay.
And at this point of the film, Robert is a man of mystery. We know there's something to him, but we don't know how deep it gets.
Mhm.
That scene was an incredible scene
For sure.
How Robert gets down, because it wasn't just your typical walking through the restaurant beating everybody up. Uh, it is the precision that he uses.
Mm-hmm.
It's the observation and how aware he is.
Yeah.
Like he can survey the room. You see his superpower. Everything kind of slows down.
Mm-hmm.
Noticing all these details. I know what kind of tattoo he has. I know what weapons are behind him. I see a corkscrew. I see a shot glass. I see he's probably going to pick up this bottle. I know this guy behind me has a pistol that he's screwing on the silencer.
Mm-hmm.
All types of stuff. He reads the whole room, counts to himself, and says, 16 seconds, which at the time we didn't know. But he's saying, I can kill everybody in this room in 16 seconds. Easy.
And to later find out that he couldn't do it in 16 seconds. So this nigga is rusty
Yeah.
at doing all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Crazy. Crazy.
One thing I really love about the scene, right? And,
Mhm.
Slavy keeps calling him Dadushka, which means grandfather, pretty
Mm.
much just calling him an old man.
Mhm.
One thing I love about it is the discipline, self-control that Robert has.
Yes.
You can tell there's a moment, we didn't know it specifically, we do later in the movie. Robert is really tussling with his decision. He's in his apartment and his head is kind of down. His hand is on his head and he's like, man, it's almost like, should I do this? Or should I just let it ride? And
Mhm.
he's reasonable about the whole thing. Comes in there with $9,800, looking to buy her freedom. I'm not just gonna come in and kill everybody. I want to give everybody a chance.
Yeah.
The girl you beat, I'm trying to buy her freedom. Slobby talking that big cash. And shout out to Robert for 9,800, because if you don't know anything about the federal government, once you withdraw a certain amount, there are going to be some questions, some paperwork you need to fill out.
Mhm.
The Federal Trade Commission, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he knew, as somebody who's trying to stay off the grid, somebody who doesn't want to be found, let me just take out as much as I can to try to
Mhm.
offer it. So that just lets you know I'm going to the max that I possibly can
Yeah.
to really free this girl. And Slobby talking that big shit.
Mhm.
9,800, what? You can get this for, you can get her for a month. I make this off her in 2 weeks. Like, fuck you think you are coming in this office making demands.
Yeah.
Take your $9,800, go home, beat your meat 9,800 times, and get the fuck out of here. Like, talking that cash to him. And then obviously we see the ass kicking scene.
Mhm.
Robert does his OCD thing, open the door, open and shut 3 times, checks out the room, 16 seconds, actually gets it done in 19, kills everybody in that room, and walks over to Slavy. Sometimes the best celebrations, which I don't want to say it's a celebration, but the best moment of clarities aren't the loud ones, they're the quiet ones. They're the ones when you sit down, like your heartbeat is, your heart is beating 3 times its normal rate because you're losing a lot of blood. In 30 seconds, your whole body's gonna shut down. Like that girl you beat up, she's gonna live on. She's gonna go ahead and live her life. You are gonna die over $9,800 on this funky ass floor. You should have taken the money. Just one of those little, like, bruh, I didn't even come in here on all that. There's a dude that we went to school with. Shout out to Mario. Not the Mario I just mentioned earlier, but Mario also went to this school, a school with this dude. His name was Mario as well. Seen Mario fight 2 times. Each time he told the person, I do not want to fight you. Begged them niggas not to fight. Mario told them, please, I do not want to fight you, bro. They talking that rah-rah. I've never seen somebody get their ass beat worse than those 2 people. My point is, when somebody comes at you on the humble, you better believe them. The quiet ones are the dangerous ones.
For sure. Do I know Mario?
No, you don't know Mario. This ain't the same Mario that I shouted out earlier.
Okay.
A completely different Mario, but I'll never forget both occasions. He told both of these dudes,
Damn,
multiple times, I do not want to fight you. I do not want to fight you. And they took it there, and they probably never fought nobody ever again in their life because Mario whooped they ass.
blessed that. Shout out to Mario. I love a good ass kicking. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was it. That was it with that scene.
To your point though, not about the ass kicking, but he did not want to even go in there and do all of that shit. And he was remorseful thereafter.
So
And I think
he said, I'm
that was
sorry.
powerful seeing him grieve becoming a version of himself that he had done so much to get away from.
Absolutely. That was a powerful moment at the end of that. Like you said, that look of remorse is obviously we're talking about Denzel, so incredible acting, but that I'm sorry right after,
Yeah.
you know he didn't want to do that, but he's
Why would you
capable of it. I don't know if you have another scene written down past that as far as in order, but the next scene I have written down is the introduction of Teddy,
Yes,
who I find equally fascinating as
for
Robert
sure.
McCall.
I don't play with demons, but shout out to Teddy. Go ahead.
Don't play with demons at all. So you need. I mentioned that opening scene being like one of the best character introductions as far as what your skill set is. So that lets us know right away we need a worthy opponent
Yeah.
for Robert McCall. You
Mhm.
can't just bring in some poo putt
Mhm.
and make us believe that he's going to stand a chance. All right. Teddy, right away, we know what type of person he is.
Yeah.
He fits the bill. You can tell that murder and crime is his business. That's what
Yeah.
he does for a living. Not only does he do it for a living, he enjoys it.
He enjoys it.
He enjoys it. He enjoys the process of taking lives that need to be taken
It's
for
his
whatever reason. He goes to that murder scene. We get an insight on his brain, which is one of the things I think we all love about Robert McCall, how
Mhm.
alert he is and how he plays chess, how you can just survey a room and survey an area and figure out how this is all going to go down.
Mhm.
He looked at those photos of those bodies and looked at where the bodies were lying, and then in his head realized how each one of them died.
Yeah.
He knew right away, like this isn't somebody we're used to. This is elite level killing right here. This is
Yeah.
somebody different that we're looking for. Um, he meets with the local PD, where we meet Frank Masters,
Mhm.
who's the local Boston detective, and Frank is on some trying to play tough shit.
Yeah.
Teddy makes it known, I'm the big dog. I don't know who you are. I'm the one that push can calls when you fuck up.
For sure.
You think you matter and you don't. Like
Mhm.
he's telling them all of this. You think you matter and you don't. I'm not here to say please. I'm here to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
All right. So I just love that opening scene with him. Also, we can go to Teddy meeting the Irish.
Yes, I was gonna say I have for the Nikki scene, little
Yeah,
Nikki.
yeah, yeah. You want to get into it?
Yeah,
Little,
for
little
sure.
Johnny, little
Little
John.
Johnny. Um, everything that you just said about Teddy is yes. We know that he's come in to clean things up. We know that he's not really a respecter of the locals, but this lets us know just who and how he is for real, for real. Like, yeah, you were talking to Masters, but now you're showing and proving with little Johnny. Um, he again, no respecter of persons. I'm here for a reason and you're going to understand it. And you clearly don't know who I am, but I know every single thing about you, including the fact that you're stealing from us. And we just look the other way, but you going to pay. Ain't nothing
That
free in this world.
that was my favorite part of the scene, Rachel.
Mm,
I know you stealing. Like we pay you 15% to cover this area.
yeah.
We don't even count the 10% that you steal. We expect it. We
Hmm.
anticipate it because you're such a cliche. Like
Yeah.
we know that money gonna be going, but you got me fucked up if you think we're not getting something for the money you taking and the
That
money
part.
that we're paying you. No
Hmm.
information, no cooperation, no none of that. Like we're
Crazy.
not playing like that. I love the frank aspect of it. It's almost like Craig and Day Day and Next Friday. Like I gotta live here, you don't. Like, bro, you
It's
can't
like,
just come in my city
no.
and just wreak havoc and
Yeah.
and just leave like that. Like, nah, man, I gotta deal with all these people.
Mhm.
And first of all, I don't even know why he mentioned like don't call him Little John.
Yeah.
Like just let it be. I'm sure he wasn't thinking of it, but now that you tell him, it's like anybody else who wants to poke the bear. I'm
Exactly.
specifically gonna call you Little John at this point.
Exactly.
Um, and he talking that John was talking that big boy shit. He hates the Russians. All y'all do is coming over here and try to take what the Irish are trying to like rightfully gain. Fuck all y'all. And Teddy once again, based off this conversation, I can tell you were too dumb to pull this off.
Yeah.
Like, just go straight into the backhanded insults. And I'm not even trying to
I
cover
even
it up.
backhanded.
Yeah, I mean direct. They're pretty direct. Yeah, absolutely. And I know you're a rat to the feds.
Mm-hmm.
I know all of this about you, bruh. But you gonna tell us something. And he said, "Who are you? Who I am is complicated. What I am is easy. I'm a threat. I alter outcomes." And then when you talk about ass whooping,
Bruh.
yo,
It was like a blackout ass whooping, but he was fully present.
yes. I was trying to think of how to describe that, and I think you just did it perfectly. Those punches,
Mm-hmm.
the ferocity of those swings,
Mm-hmm.
the knee to the gut to knock him out of the chair, and
Yeah.
then getting on top of him more and just I hope I never get mad to the point where I'm screaming while beating somebody ass.
Yeah.
Like, he literally blacked out.
You're really crazy.
Yeah, and he wanted to. He needed that. Like I haven't let this out in a while. You the perfect candidate.
And Frank needed to see that too.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I
absolutely.
talk shit to you, but you don't know fully either. So just so you can know, this is what the fuck I do.
Mm-hmm. Since you were questioning earlier who I am, and you acting like you run things, like nah.
Let me show
You
you.
driving me around.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the one they call when
Mm-hmm.
you mess up, bro. Like, I just want you to remember that. And just how I did him, I can do you.
Do you
I can do
worse.
your whole department. Easy. No questions asked. Yeah.
Lord.
Yeah. And I think Frank ended that scene with saying, like, what was that? He said, it's a message that says, I'm here. For anybody out here that thinks it's a game, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Robert pulling up to the dirty cops, extorting Ralphie's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to one of those Wahlbergs. I know there's a million of them. Um, Robert Wahlberg. I don't know, Robbie Wahlberg.
Donnie.
No, it's not Donnie. It's
Oh.
another Wahlberg. Jim Wahlberg. I don't know. There's a lot of them. Either way, one of the Wahlbergs was one of those cops. Obviously, Boston, it ties in perfectly. But it's just it's not a big scene. It's just letting you know Robert's on his vigilante. He's
Mm-hmm.
back in action. Now that I've gotten over the rust of not being in this game, I'm not going to stand for it. And I know Ralphie. I know how hard he's been working for this. Nah, bro, you ain't about to take this away from my man's.
Yeah. And his mom. Come on now.
And his mom.
Deserve. Y'all know what the fuck y'all supposed to stand for.
Extorting, yeah. We know that Robert is a former, I think he's a former Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you are in the armed forces or you take a pledge to the badge or any kind of work in that nature, you take that seriously, especially somebody like Robert. Like, I'm not going to sit here and let you disrespect this. You're supposed to protect and serve the people, and you trying to get rich off of them.
Yeah.
I got me messed up. And them being able to turn that money back in, I thought that was dope. Just a quick scene. The same way the quick scene with him helping Jess, I believe her name was, get her ring back. We don't see it.
Jenny.
But just Jen, thank you. We don't see it, but obviously, bro, I can take you out right now, but I see the kids. Yeah, I'm going to get this ring back. Trust me. Get this ring back.
And I like it again. He said it was a knight in shining armor, but really, and I don't really want to call him Robin Hood, but he really is taking care of the little guy. Like, none of this is me being selfish. I like that he told Ralphie, you know, it's just money. It's not valuable. It is what it is. Somebody at one of the other stores that he robbed, they were shot. We lost no lives here. The only thing of value that's missing is his ring. You don't know it, but I'm gonna get it back.
Yeah.
Don't even trip.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
For sure.
Don't even worry about it.
For sure.
The next thing I have, the first face-to-face, the one we've been waiting on.
Yeah.
That face-to-face between Teddy and Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, the attention to detail, being observational. It's one of my favorite traits in people. People who just look at something and just notice when things are off. Robert's sitting there in his dining room, and you just see him look at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Something didn't seem right. Is that a door? Like, nobody usually comes to the door at this hour. I'm sure it was something of that nature that he noticed. Then he gets up, stands by the door, sees the keys shaking, which means somebody is coming up these steps.
Yeah.
I'm sure Robert knows everyone's schedule in that building.
Absolutely.
Whoever lives across from him, he probably knows that they probably aren't home at this time. So who is this possibly coming up these steps? And before Teddy even knocks on the door, Robert opens it, just waiting. And I loved how he's acting like a homicide detective, checking on the homicide that took place at the restaurant 2 weeks back. Robert says, "Oh yeah, I know about that. Like I was actually there. Oh, you were? You wouldn't be here if I wasn't.
Period.
Like, stop playing this game, bro. Like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I know why you here. What's up? Talk to me. What you got? What you want?" He goes through the whole alibi. Oh, she wasn't there. Her daughter got sick. Here's her name. You can check in with her. And he's leaving. Teddy's leaving after showing the picture of, I forget her name. Might have been Mandy, the young friend of Terry,
Terry, yeah.
who he choked out, which we saw, which was nuts.
Crazy.
And just to let him know, that was more of a track tactic of, oh, she fell down the steps and broke her neck. Obviously, you can see she's been choked out.
Right.
That wasn't a broken neck, but lets Robert know and starts walking down the steps. And Robert, once again, knowing how this works, aren't you going to leave me a card? Isn't that what you police officers do? Ask if I seen anything, to give you a call. And then finally gets down to it. Like, how'd you find me? I didn't pay cash. I didn't make reservations. How did you find me? I love it. I love that.
It was, I don't want to say it was a typical Denzel moment, but it was. If you've watched enough of him and watched enough of his mannerisms and whatnot, like, it was a Denzel clinic, and I just really appreciate that scene as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why we love the movie so much. It's a Denzel clinic.
Yeah. And I liked that Teddy really got to see thought he got to see what he was really up against.
Yeah, sized them up. It was like the face off in boxing. You have your weigh in and you have your face to face. Kind of like, all right, we've been talking shit, but I might not know dude for real. This is the first time I get to see him in person. I get to see the height, weight, build. Like, what am I really up against if it comes to that?
Everything about him is wrong.
I wrote that down in my notes. And that's why I said I like Teddy as a character in the sense of he has those same skill sets that Robert has.
Yes.
He just senses it. Like, everything about him is wrong. None of this makes sense. So we need to start making it make sense.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So shout out to him for that.
Is your next scene the diner where they send
waiting on someone else?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my next scene.
Let's get into it.
All right. You want to go ahead?
Sure. So again, now that Teddy's figured out who Robert is, I know your routine. I know what you're doing. So we're gonna get you to come with us, and we are sending this who we think is qualified to come in. But again, Robert's skill set, I know that you're just a hired hand. You're not actually a patron, Shout out to Jake. Jake be getting the fuck out the way. Like, he misses it every single time. And it's the first time that Frank and Teddy barely, because it's dark, see exactly what Robert can do. Physically, how he thinks tactically. And it was just really powerful because they didn't know. Again, they were able to find him, and now they know that he's the killer, but they don't know this man. They don't know what he can do. And even with all of that, with all of the cards really being in their hand, there's 4 of them. It's just him alone. And he still gets away. He still outsmarts them, outplays them. I think that if Teddy was a sane person or someone with like integrity, that maybe he thought, oh, me and him could do something, like we could be, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Absolutely. Very interesting. Go ahead.
Absolutely. It's kind of, I feel like Teddy has some kind of
man crush.
I think he's a tad bit too psychotic for it to go there. But there is some kind of respect there, I say. They're like, all right, a worthy opponent. Okay.
For sure.
I see what I'm up against.
For sure.
We waiting on someone else? Excuse me? Your hands. If you really work down at the power lines, your hands wouldn't look like that.
Yeah.
And I love how dude just looked at his hands and started laughing. Like, damn, who is this guy?
Yeah. He
Like, that's
got me.
right. And I also love Robert's response. I know we got to be waiting on someone else. Like, almost like I know.
They ain't say you in
I've
here.
seen your boss. Your boss came to my spot. He know what I'm about. He's seen my work at that office.
For
I
sure.
know he just ain't sent you. We
Mhm.
gotta be waiting on someone else.
Yeah.
I just love that line because it was just one of those like, bro, you come on now. You know good and damn well you ain't making this out of here alive. And obviously he's smart enough to cut the power off, goes by, gets the photo.
Mhm.
You on my ass, now I'm on your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now these roles are flipped. And everything about that scene, I think, even going into the alley where they were trying to chase him and him getting away, going into the apartment, because he knew he was smart enough to know that once Teddy showed up in my door, everything changes. I can't lay my head here anymore.
Yes.
I can't lay my head here anymore. They come. They know where I am. So I gotta flip the script to make everything go on my watch and not theirs.
For sure.
Like I know it's not gonna end like that. Like I
Mhm.
know it's not gonna end with him just knocking on my door and then I'm never gonna hear from him again.
Yeah.
I get up out of here. My next scene was Robert going to the plumbers. Not plumber as in profession, but Frank or Susan and Brian.
Yes.
Susan and Brian plumber.
Yes.
I love that scene mainly because it finally gives you some humanity about Robert. He's this mystery vigilante who's doing all this work. We know he's obviously skilled, but what else is there to him other than we knew that there was a Mrs. McCall who broke
Right.
his heart.
Right.
Now we know his wife passed. We know that he's highly trained. He still has friends who are connected with the agency, whether they're working there or not, who can get him information on who Teddy is and try to find that out. And I love the fact that they talked about, hey, were you able to give him help? He didn't come here for help. He came here for permission.
Mhm.
He knows that I'm one of the few people on this planet that knows that his wife did not want him to go back into this life.
Yeah.
He came to make sure that he's doing the right thing by breaking that promise that he made her.
Mhm.
I'm going to look at him differently if I'm going to judge him for these decisions that he's making. It just showed us that he lived a life before this, and if it was up to him, he wouldn't even be in this predicament. But here we are, and
Yeah.
obviously, we found out that he's dead. Air quotes.
Air quotes.
Whatever happened to him, he's not supposed to be around. So he really wants to keep things low key. And I love the fact that Susan, I think Brian said, when she heard that you died, she just knew.
That's it.
If
If
anybody
anybody could make a clean break, it's him.
So you showing up at our doorstep, however many years later, we don't even know how much time had passed from
Mhm.
that to then. I think they
Mhm.
might have mentioned it in Equalizer 2 because Pedro Pascal's character was his partner. And he
Mhm.
said, I was in that building with you. Like when it went down, I looked at you in your face. Like I saw, like, you know what I mean? A lot of that went on in the
Yeah.
second one. So I forget if we got that time frame, but I couldn't even imagine. But I love the fact that neither one of them were really shocked.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like Susan thought I knew this day would come when you would show up here because I knew you weren't dead. There's
For
no way
sure.
they killed
She did.
you. Yeah,
She
there's no
did.
way they killed you.
Mhm.
My next scene, and I don't know if you have anything before this. Robert meeting Teddy at the restaurant.
Go ahead.
So Pushkin's on Teddy's ass.
Yeah.
Robert is wrecking everything. I can't remember if at this point he actually blew up the tankers, but he's causing mayhem. I know it for sure. They had the scene where he takes Frank Masters, the cop, leaves all the money and the bad guys for the police to find and all that. So
Mhm.
obviously that was a big halt in Pushkin's operation. So nobody in the city. Remember, Teddy's on the phone, and they're saying nobody in the city can find him. And
Yeah.
you got this Russian guy. I'm assuming he's Russian. My men will find him. Good. Okay, I'm gonna go take a piss.
Mhm.
10 seconds later, his glasses are broken with blood on them.
Crazy.
Robert with the smooth sit down. He's not coming back. So we're gonna let you know. Let's get this out of the way. He's not coming back. It's our second face to face.
Yes.
The first one was Teddy trying to figure out information. This one is a warning from Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see what I'm capable of. Have you had enough? I think is what he sat down and said. Have you had enough? Like, because I can keep going, brick by brick, dollar by dollar. Like, how deep do you want this to go?
Yeah.
Because you see, ain't nobody stopping me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got the whole city looking for me, and I know exactly where you are.
Crazy.
And I'm bold enough to come in here. Because what y'all gonna do? Like, I just thought that was a boss move from him.
Mm-hmm.
When you pray for rain, you got to deal with the mud too. And then he told that story about the kid who was taken in by the scholar. Somebody murdered the family. They thought it was a kid. Obviously, that was reference to that being Teddy because he called him by his government name, Nikolai.
Nikolai. Mm-hmm.
Did they ever find out who did it? I don't know. Did they? I don't know. Sometimes the answer's right in front of you. Further pushing the point, I know everything about you, bro.
Yeah, I got info too.
Yeah.
I can find out things too. I have, in fact. I got your number, buddy. Hussy.
I'm 3 steps ahead of you the whole way. I've been playing chess.
Mm-hmm.
You asked me what I saw when I look at you. What do you see when you look at me?
Mm.
That's the real question. That's what you should be asking. And then from there, I don't know if you had anything else, but really just the ending.
I would say I wrote down just the whole rest of the movie, the end.
The rest of the movie. Everything that happened at Hallmark,
Mm-hmm.
everything that happened with Pushkin,
Yeah,
everything that happened with him getting the final, conversation with Terry / Alina.
yeah.
All of that. I just thought that it was your traditional action movie climax, final scene, the mano y mano, that whole thing, Robert taking everybody out. I love when, because obviously Teddy did the smart thing of taking people that Robert cares about,
Yes,
in exchange for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He's thinking, all right, if you don't come here, I'm going to hurt these people. I love when we first see Robert come and Ralphie is in that room.
Yeah.
And Robert just whooping this dude's ass. There's a look on Ralphie's face like, who the fuck is this dude that I've been working with? Like the dude that I introduced to my mama that helped me clean up my mama's floor. Who is this dude? Because I don't know this dude.
I think that's one of my favorite things is that truly at the top of the movie, they're trying to figure out who is Mr. McCall, who is Robert. Like, okay, they have no idea who this man is, what he's capable of. And I love it. And shout out to Ralphie again. Oh, this is why you could very easily help me become a security guard.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a great ending overall. Like I said, this movie, it gets you in and it gets you out. Like it's not supposed to be anything deeper than that. Yeah. So I love that it ends the same way it started. Straight action. The good guy wins. And we keep it moving. They could have ended it at 1. I'm glad that we got 2 more out of it.
For sure. It's a long 2 hours though, low key.
It is a long 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is, they kind of nuts for that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But you can still sit through it. You can still sit through it.
You can.
Best quotes. Did you have anything written down for best quotes?
I don't have any quotes other than the things that we've already said.
Got you. One I told you, I'll say it all the time. Progress, not perfection. The old man's got to be the old man. The fish got to be the fish. Got to be who you are in this world, right? Love that quote. Don't doubt yourself, son. Doubt kills. Susan with a quote when Robert went to go see her. Sometimes we make the wrong choices to get to the right place.
Yeah.
And Ralphie had one of my favorite funny lines throughout the film. At the end, if you remember earlier in the film when he's when Robert's helping him train, he's pulling the tire. He's like, "Come on now, you can't pull this tire 20 yards. I'll weigh $190. You mean to tell me you're gonna let me in this house dying?" And when Robert gets shot and Ralphie comes back and says, "Hey, you told me not to leave anybody," he starts dragging him away. And Robbie said, $190 my ass. I thought that was a funny, clever line.
Dead weight is heavy.
Hey, straight up. Fuck 90 my ass. You got me fucked up, bro. You heavier than that. Because that's something that you would say in real time. Like, come on, man, bro. You told me you was this way. Scene still.
Probably not.
It's a weird one, right? It's a weird category.
Weird.
Let's say this. Let me ask you this.
Uh-huh.
Your favorite character outside of Robert?
I don't play with demons, but it's Teddy.
Mine is Teddy too.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing with the scene still, right? I feel like the winner is by default. There's
Yeah.
only one person that they even set up to be the scene stealer, and that was Ralphie.
Right.
Ralphie was the one that was set up, and it seemed like a little bit of a cheap answer. So I think Teddy is the second. He's my favorite character outside of Ralph.
Yeah.
Excuse me, outside of Robert, for sure.
You could, I'll say Mrs. Plummer. I don't know why my head is in fucking bad shape. Susan, I guess she would be next just because Susan is a quiet force.
She is. They didn't give her enough in this movie, but if you gave her what you gave us in Equalizer 2, she would have been the clear-cut answer.
And remember, Equalizer 2 is my introduction to all of this.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, so Susan, shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
She only had that one scene.
Things that bother me, I didn't like that Jake was encouraging Alina to go out and make her fucking living, like save her. Somebody try. Somebody help. That was really just the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me, it's very small. I just mentioned how Frank Masters told him, hey, whatever you do, don't call him Little Johnny. Like, don't. You see this type of dude this is, man. You know getting damn well within 5 minutes he's going to call this man Little Johnny and start some shit. That was just an odd move. Also, one thing I loved, it didn't bother me, but one thing I loved, when they were in the apartment and they were in Robert's apartment, all right, after looking for him, and the rest of the crew was like, damn, he's on the run, and this, that, and the third. Teddy's like, nah, he's watching us. He's not going anywhere. He's watching us right now. Yeah. Here's one thing that bothered me. When Frank said, what do you want us to do? If I was Teddy, I'd have been like, nigga, didn't I just tell you he's watching us? Why the fuck would I tell you what the game plan is?
Yeah.
He's got eyes and ears on us at this very moment. Like, smarten up.
That was one of my, I guess I didn't really talk about it. But when they did go to essentially raid his house or to get him from the house, I'm not going to say it was a favorite scene, but again, it was interesting, the callback, because again, Equalizer 2 was my introduction to the series. So I was like, oh, this nigga been having secret rooms and compartments and random hideaways, fake walls to get in, which is now, this is why you work at the hardware stores. You can build this shit.
Straight up.
And bring it right back. Come on.
That's a good pull. That's a good pull right there. Yeah. Where did he come see about me moments? There are no actors from The Wire. Wouldn't let that happen to me. I don't think anything's preventable.
Yeah, no.
Unless I'm Jake and I'm like, hey man, I ain't about to let these girls out here just get trafficked out.
Right.
At least, hey, if you're gonna pick her up, man, at least pick her up down the street or something. Don't pick her up from my diner. I gotta watch her get in this car.
Exactly. They gonna use this as a hub. Police gonna have eyes on this place. The non-cricket cops.
Right. Trivia. So this film, The Equalizer, received the highest test score from an audience for any R-rated Sony film. In history, any R-rated Sony film that's received the highest test score. So shout out to The Equalizer. Robert McCall never shoots a firearm in this film. Every kill was straight ass whooping. The only time a gun was involved was when he, at the very beginning, at the office, remember Slava got shot in his neck.
Yeah.
He twisted the dude's arm and his own dude shot Slava. He just aimed it. He never fired a gun throughout this entire film.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
I know what I was going to say. The hardware, did it at all remind you of The Wire? The episode where Snoop is in
Yeah,
there.
the intro to season 4.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
intro to
thought
season
of. I
4.
was like, there was something I was gonna say about this hardware store. Okay.
100%. Every time I watch this film, I
I
think about it.
immediately thought of that. Okay.
Yep, season 4, episode 1 of the Wire, the cold open to the season. One
Yeah.
of my favorite Wire scenes. Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. It definitely did remind me of that. The only other piece of trivia that I had that I thought was very clever, and this goes to Antoine Fuqua and his preparation for this film. Denzel even said he was so impressed by the preparation and the way he envisioned these scenes that he said, "You should probably be Robert McCall because you're acting very Robert McCallish. Just you're like the way you're handling it."
Yeah.
But it's just a small thing that I appreciate when films do. Earlier in the film, we see everybody at the job trying to figure out what Robert used to do. He tells them, I was a pit. I was a pit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just so happens when we get to the final scene, when they're at the Hallmark, one of the songs that plays over the intercom, Midnight Train to Georgia.
Woo, woo.
Who sings that? Gladys Knight and the Pips.
Like
I just love the subtle tie-in. You know, if you caught it, you caught it. If you didn't, you did it. But yeah, shout out to the Equalizer. Very fun film, very clean film to watch. Looking forward to doing Equalizer 2 with you, Rachel.
For
Definitely
sure.
looking forward to having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We will definitely revisit this. But with that being said, we get to the end of the episode where we like to rate the film. Rachel.
Yes.
The average viewer rates The Equalizer 7.2 out of 10. Too high, too low, just right.
Too low, I'll go 7.5.
Too low, I'm going 7.9.
Okay.
Yeah, just underneath that 8 range. I'm giving it an 8. Fuck it.
Okay.
Give it an 8. Give it an 8. I'm going there. I'm giving it an 8. So I definitely agree. Too low, but Rachel, we made it. Long week, long days, but we made it through an episode. You can probably hear I'm a little bit congested. I've been drinking tea. We all trying to fight all these battles.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
We are dedicated to giving y'all some products.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. With that being said, go ahead.
We love y'all. Thank y'all so much for listening. Again, follow us on the Culture Garden Instagram, like, comment, subscribe, share. Follow us on We Got Y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, share. We got y'all on both fronts. I love y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Have a happy, safe Memorial Day weekend.
Please be safe. Remember, we'll drop an episode next week. No movie, but our dog Mo will be in here to chop it up with us. Looking forward to that conversation. Y'all be cool. Y'all be cool.
Peace out. Be black. Or whatever you are.
Hey, man. We out.
We love you.
Shout out to all y'all. We love you. Peace.